So, and again, we'll be specific, and I think we'll organize the videos a little better so you guys are able to sort of put which parts go with what. But one thing that we're going to do is start to understand like the layout in plan format. So the 3D view is one thing, but then we're going to create a plan view. So everybody, if you go to the first floor, what we're going to do is basically create a legend so we can understand, in this case, like a color scheme for the ducks and what the CFM is related to the sizing. So what we can do is create really quickly is a duck scheme, and that's under Analyze. It's hard to see here, but duck legend is one, and then we also have color fill legend. In this case, we're going to do a duck legend. So if we click on that, we can place it somewhere. By default, it says no color scheme assigned. If we click, we can select a duck color scheme, fill, and we can do it for flow, velocity, or just in this case, just fill. We're just selecting fill, I believe, right? Oh no, sorry, flow. So make sure you select duck color fill, flow. Yeah, on mine it's miniaturized, but on yours it might look. Okay, it's this one up there. Yeah, the like three color dots, and the little duck cut in half, or like a section of a duck. And then you get this little thing that it wants you to drop it. So you want to drop this somewhere. Okay, so it can be, in my opinion, drop it somewhere below. So, because we're working in portrait. And then we want duck color filled flow. So yeah, we'll go over that. So, do you get this already? So you just pick it and yeah, just drag it around. So this relates to what's happening, in CFM and parts of the duck. If we come here and we say edit, we select the legend, edit type. We can adjust the size. Of the font, we can adjust pretty much the font size. But if we come here to edit scheme, so as soon as we pick it, we have edit scheme. This is where we can start to adjust what our sort of ranges are. So we can add different values. We can do it by range or by value. By default, it does it by value, so it gives a specific color for each of the various ducks ranges. Okay. And typically what it produces is fine. But this is like a really clear setup, especially when we lay this on a sheet, to lay that out. Yeah, so under the duck color legend, so I think some of the settings are preset now in 2014. So this is one that we then go to our sheet. And guys, I'm going to re-record that first part where I made the sheet. It looks like I just looked at the recording. There's a problem. So I'm going to go over making a new sheet again. So under new, title block, new size. I know you guys already did this, but I just want to go through it one more time. You select that top. This is where we made it 11. Select the side line. We made this 8.5. And then we went into just creating some text. Text window. Type your name. You can select the text, edit the text, change the text size. You can move it. If you just go to modify, is like modify and move. So if you hit it, you just got to make sure you get the move. You would have to reload it. If you reloaded it, yes. Because it's a separate file. So you could reload it. So let's do that. Watch, I'm going to reload it because I'm going to save it as the same name. So say I wanted to put today's date. Right? And now I do a save as family. Then I save it as my 8.5, the same name. And I overwrite it. It's not going to automatically update it. But if I close this, go back to here, and then let's go ahead and open up one of our sheets. Sorry. Just nudge up. You can see that didn't change. But if I go back to insert, load family, and load the exact same family name, it's going to ask me if I want to overwrite. So I can overwrite it, and it's going to update it. Yeah, the other option too is you can select it, and then there's edit family appears. So if you select the family that's loaded in, edit family, and that will open it for you. You don't even have to hunt it. And then you can edit it. So that's the more direct way of doing it. So I can come here and add something to it, and then load it. See, if I load it back into the project, let's see if it works, and it works. So then I load it back in. Sometimes it doesn't work with title blocks, but in this case, I think maybe 2014, that's one of the fixes they made. Okay. Now you still have that window open, so if we go to view, and we see what we have open, we still have that template open. So you have to close it if you're done working with it. No, it'll still keep one viewport open. You just, yeah, so you switch to the one you want, and then you just click the X button. So you close hidden, and then the easiest just hit the X button. Yeah, close hidden, then switch to that right one. So if I have a project open, yeah, don't do that to the project because you're closing the project. So, you sure? Yeah, you're probably, yeah, it's asking you about, yeah, if you're in here, yeah, if you click this guy, yeah, if you, do you want to save changes, you know, in this case, yeah, and then we're just in here, okay? Sorry, question? Maybe figured out. Question? No? Yeah, okay. All right, so now we have that sheet loaded. We can make a new sheet. Now another thing too is you can see these things are named like they're like architectural sheets. We can rename them, of course. If we right click on it and say rename, so that might be like number 1, and then this is like space schedule. Right click, rename number 2, space schedule. And so forth. And then this will be, that was our ISO. And then we can right click, say new sheet, pick that same, hit OK. So that has our edited. And then we're going to go to our first floor plan, right? That's where we have our information. So I'll go back to my sheet. I'm going to drag first floor and then click, and then it'll appear. I can move it around then, and in this case actually the scale that we were working in is working, which is at 1/4 inch. Okay. Now the one thing that's happening is I have at the base here, I have this title that I probably don't want to show up. I can move it. But in my opinion, we can turn that off for now. So if you select the sheet, you get edit. And it says show title. We're going to say no. And hit OK. And I'll turn it off. So yeah, you just select the sheet. You just sort of click to where the sheet is selected. And you're selecting that viewport. So we'll say viewport 1. If you hit on edit, there is title. Show title. You can say no. So just to get rid of it. Yeah, so I pulled it up. Okay. And again, if we now go to a print, we can pick that specific view, which is that sheet 4. This asks if you want to save that session, like if we're going to be doing this all day, just say no. And then we can say setup. We want to make sure our zoom again is on 100. So by default it might be fit to page. Click on zoom. 8.5 by letter, tabloid. Combine, in this case we just have 1. And make sure you send it to where you want it to go. Call it something that makes sense.
Do you need to change the
You can. I mean, my file name is really long there, so it could be like,
What is it overwriting?
It's overwriting your previous one that we made.
Which
Yeah, which was the earlier files.
But if you check off 3 now,
It'll remake it again new. Yeah, so that's one way of doing it. Now, you can see what happened here. Color wasn't selected. Okay, so we do want this in color, say. This is the new sheet I made, so this is a first floor. So I dumped first floor into my sheet. Did you make your sheet? So it's a blank sheet. So we made a new one. So we have the space schedule, we have our other space schedule, the ISO. And now we made a new one. So if you right click, new sheet, and then we went to not the reflective ceiling, but under floor plan, first floor, drag and drop. And then we moved it to fit. It actually fit at quarter. And then we go to print. Select. In this case, just the one. Setup. So here where it says colors, we want to make sure it says color. So under our setting there, color. So now we have it in color. Okay. So this will be one of the outputs. And then the last part is setting up the zone. We're going to skip over this because I want to open the project. But first show you the VAV box. Okay. So the last part is the zone. We only have one zone here, so it won't even show two zones. So the other thing is, just really quickly, so you, and again, we'll review this. If we go to VG, which are visibility graphics, we type in V and G. If we go to our HVAC zones, our interior fill, we're turning that on. So we're basically going to see our various zones. Okay. And then eventually what we're going to do, yeah, sorry, make sure you're in the first floor plan. Make sure it won't work in the sheet. You got to go to the first floor plan. So go back to your first floor plan, that's your sheet. Type in VG. V and G. Yeah, it's a shortcut, so it's visibility graphics. Turn on interior and fill, hit OK. And then the zones will turn on. In this case, we have one zone. Just the interior fill. If you look up here, it's just that one. Yeah, sorry, yeah, L3. Boundary, color fill. Interior fill is what the one we want. So you see a purple appear. That's the zone. Ultimately, under architecture, sorry. Like you lose all your tabs. We'll be able to, sorry, under, yeah, architecture. Color schemes, we'll be able to set up a color scheme for zones. But we'll do this next time, okay? If the shortcut's not working, you're in the view. Here to the left, you'll see a visibility graphics edit. That'll pop it up. And it's also under view. I believe it's also here somewhere. It's like, there it is, visibility graphics. It's like 3 ways to do that. So we're going to add, we'll do this again because we just have the one zone. And no, they've changed something. So under color scheme, if we add our HVAC scheme, you have nothing showing up? You maybe didn't. No, you should. I created a system in this. And you turned it on? And you're hitting OK?
Don't have to breathe in at the HVAC zone.
And you turn this on?
Yes. Little boundaries too.
You just make sure all the one you need to turn on was interior fill. They should all be turned on, these three, yeah. And then hit OK?
Yeah.
Doesn't pop up? Yeah, maybe you deleted the zone on accident or something. It should appear. Because then it'll appear on the actual sheet as well. Which I think I zoomed out of. And here we're seeing the spaces as well. The zones will be critical, but again, we'll go over it again later once you guys are working on the project itself, okay? So if you're in the first floor under architecture, it's under room and areas, color scheme. Yeah, then you get this option. Well, we will add it because under the room and panels there's a legend, and we can add a legend. So HVAC. So you switch it to HVAC zones. These are our tags. This is our area. Yeah, somehow the legend has been moved. We can find it real quick. I'll show over that real quick. So under here where the color fill legend. So this is under analyze. If you click on that, and you click, it'll ask you what do you want. So we want actually HVAC zones, and we're using the color scheme A. That's where we defined it. And if you hit OK, you get this whole thing as one color. Now it looks like all of a sudden we have a draw order issue. And then you got to turn off the spaces. So you got to make sure your spaces are off. So if you type in VG, go to spaces, turn off your interior fill. So now this relates to the zone. So we know this is all zone 1. So if we go to our sheet, you know, it's all been updated. Okay? Because you will have different zones, I assume, right? All right, so let's look at the last part. Which I want you guys just to follow along, okay? Because you won't because we're going to cover quite a bit and you won't be able to keep up, but you can watch the video, all right? So please just watch now, stop working on a computer, because I'm a strong believer in if you can remember 10% of what I did and you're doing it, you'll probably struggle through it, and then watch the video and you get 100%. So what we're going to do now is create a new system, all right? So when you guys are going to be doing your, so you've done your spaces, right? And then you set up the zones in different, right? We dropped zones, so you zoned everything. We applied spaces to the zones. So now we have to set up a system for a specific zone. Rather than setting up a bunch of, mechanical equipment that moves air, So we have like 5 furnaces because you have 5 zones. We're going to do the VAV box, right? So you guys studied that at some point this semester, didn't you? Bill, did you guys go over all the different systems?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right, VAV box was probably one of them.
In fact, some of the original module is also there.
Yeah. So take that knowledge and now how do we apply it to this, right? So we'll have some type of equipment of supplying air to a VAV box, and then that VAV box is tied to that zone, right? So what does that mean? So I'm going to delete this. So just watch. I'm going to delete this guy. And we'll get some errors. Don't worry about it. What does this error say? Yeah, we disconnected it. We know. Must have missed something. I think it's just because I have the system checking the whole time. So as soon as we do something wrong now, it's appearing. So what I'm going to do is set up, basically if I select that system and duct system, we can eventually disconnect the piece of equipment. And then we're eventually going to add a new piece of equipment. Okay. So now this system just has those pieces attached to it. So we're going to have to disconnect it. You guys won't be doing that, but I needed to. And then I'm going to go ahead and look at what we have for equipment. So you can see we really don't have anything here that we need. So we need to load this. So we're going to go to Insert, Load Family. Mechanical, MEP, airside, and let's find the correct location because this is on the new. Alright, this got totally reworked. So I just want to make sure you guys have that. Before we even place it, we're going to make a new level for the VAV boxes, okay? So we need to make a new level in the elevation that we're going to place these VAV boxes. So we're going to go to A elevation. In this case, it can be a north. And you guys just watch me. Don't have to do this with me. I'm going to make this a wireframe. I know my plenum is here. If I don't like seeing all of this, I can change this to mechanical. So I can just see my work. I can also change this to fine, so I can see my duct work. Okay, I deleted my other duct work. So I know my VAV boxes are going to be sitting somewhere in the plenum. So what we want to do is to go to architecture, go to datum, and we're going to create a new level. And this is where, you know, you decide where these things are going to be sitting. And we can always adjust these. So depending on where you want to place these, we could say we're going to start at 9 feet. Okay. And then this is level, coming up as level 11. If I zoom in here and just click on this, I can change that. And just call it VAV for now, so I know this is going to be my VAV location. Alright. I do have now a plan appear. Under plan, I get VAV. So I'm looking at that specific location. I can also change this to fine, so I start to see some ductwork. I can also change this to have an underlay, which is my first floor. And then if I make this wireframe, oh, where am I seeing that? Put ground floor. I want to see where my diffusers are. Okay. As an underlay. And then we can decide where we want to put our VAV box. So say, let's go ahead now back to System, Mechanical Equipment. We have our VAV box. Now under VAV box, we have different size duct sizes. So you probably don't want to go with the 4-inch. And again, we're going to go over this more. Okay, this is start trying to do this. We'll do this together in class. I'll help you guys, but the idea is that you're laying out your diffusers now, right? You started to understand maybe the layout of system. So we can start to think what size we might use based on what our plenum might be. So let's just start with the 12-inch. And now wherever I drop this, it should be located at that position. Okay. So I'm just going to drop it in for right now. And then I'm going to go double check this in that north elevation. And there it is. Okay, so it's sitting on the VAV location. So if I change this, say I want to raise this up later to 10 feet, it's gonna move up with it. Okay, so it's associated to that level. Now I can go into a 3D view. And I'm going to pick this system, and then I'm going to edit that system. So I automatically get this edit system. And then I'm going to select equipment. And in this case, I'm selecting the VAV box. Okay. And then I say finish editing. Now I can pick one of the ductworks, generate the layout. And this is where we got to make sure we have this thing sort of set up properly. Because now our offsets don't work anymore. Okay? Because it's offsetting it 21 feet in the air. So we're going to set our offsets to 0. And the other thing you can see are our pieces not orientated correctly, and it's probably not in the right position. So we'd want to move that so we can cancel this. And then we can actually go to that floor plan and say this thing probably wants to be either, you know, over here or turned around, so we can rotate it. Because the outlet is on the other side. And then we might want to move this. Go back to our 3D view. So that's our outlet. You can select any part of the system, generate it. Again, we have to adjust the offsets because I canceled it. Set it to 0. And you can see, in this case, although I set it to 0, I have all this sort of, like I'm not aligned. So we can edit. And in this case, we would want, yeah, it's funny that it's dropping that. So I can come, yeah, I need to see what that distance is there. And it won't let us move that. So it's doing, what's happening here, it's going this and it's going down and going over. So we want this all in a line. So I'm just going to say finish layout real quick. Let's see what happens. We're going to get an error here. because I can't make those connections. So we have to offset. We can either move this down or offset this up, but it's funny that it is breaking it there. Let's toggle through some of the solutions. Let's see what. I hate to guess what that number is. This is not easily defeated. But now that offset didn't work. Okay, it's connected. Oh, it's going down still. Okay, now it's just going sideways. So yeah, it's dropping down, which is interesting. So basically we want this to be in line with that. So it's dropping that distance down. Yeah, so we're going to try to move that offset up also. So I'm adjusting both offsets to be 7 3/4. So now it's in line. And then if I just move this branch, there we go. Okay, and I can move this. So this is where you want to spend your time sort of editing. Then now if we generate it, it should work, although we might have a connection problem there. I might have to... This might be too close. We'll see. Nope, worked. Okay, so there's our VAV box. So we do the same thing then. We size this, because it's all going to be based on the CFM. And now we're going to select the VAV box. Sorry, I'm going to select... let's see if it lets me do it. So we're going to select that and we're going to go create a new system. So this will be supply air number 2. And then we're going to select equipment. See if I can do that again. Well, let's select the VAV box. So we're going to select the VAV box and say create new system. And then we're going to add in this case our fan unit. So now this is a new system we've created, which is just from here to there. and then we're going to run duct to that. So we can have, obviously we can have like 20 VAV boxes hooked up to one supply. Okay. So that way, that the thermostat control is happening here. This thing's running to supply all the VAVs. So once we're here, see, I don't know if it's not creating it. It should be created. Yeah, you would add it to it. Yeah, you would add it to one system. So those become all one system. So another way we can check this these are all our systems. So we can make sure we have. So yeah, that's our VAV box. So that's our one system that's working. Somehow didn't get assigned properly. I know we're almost out of time, guys. But my advice is get the VAV boxes in, and then we can get this connected. I think I have this connected to something else, and it's not allowing me to select it. So again, the VAV's boxes are specific to the zones, okay? So, and we'll go more over that. So lay out the diffusers, start setting up the layouts for that, and then we can tie everything together. Because especially these can be up in the plenum. Last thing, let me just stop this.